For 6.1, day 1, we're going to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide two functions. Okay, so adding is pretty straightforward. You're going to take the f function, which is x squared plus 2x plus 4, and you're going to add that to the g of x function. So the parentheses don't really need to be there. We're just going to remove the parentheses and combine like terms. 2x minus 3x is negative x, and 4 plus 2 is 6. All right, for subtraction, we're going to do the same thing. But this time you need to make sure you distribute the negative to the g of x function. So there's only one x squared. Then we're going to have 2x minus a negative 3x, so that's going to become 2x plus 3x, which is 5x. We're going to have 4 minus 2, which is positive 2. Right, for multiplying, we have to, it's similar to FOILing, but there's a trinomial multiplied with a binomial. Right, so I'm going to multiply negative 3x to the trinomial. So I'm going to multiply all of these by negative 3x. Negative 3x cubed minus 6x squared minus 12x. And now I'm going to multiply positive 2 to all three of those, plus 2x squared plus 4x and plus 8. And now I combine like terms. Negative 6x squared plus 2x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 12x and plus 4x make negative 8x plus 8. All right, for dividing, all you do is write the f function on top of the g of x function. But if you look at the directions, they also want you to indicate any domain restriction. So the first domain restriction we're going to learn this year is that denominators are not allowed to equal 0. So looking at the denominator, we see negative 3x plus 2. We need to figure out what would make that equal 0. So if I solve that equation, I get x equals negative 2 divided by negative 3, or 2/3. So this is what we don't want. So next to the answer, I'm going to put that x does not equal 2/3. So whatever would make the denominator equal 0, we have to restrict that from the domain. Remember that domain means possible x values. So we say that x does not equal 2/3. All right, we'll do the other two even problems. So for number 4, we're going to take f of x, and we're going to add g of x. So the parentheses don't need to be there. We only have one pair of like terms, and I'm also going to put this in order. So the highest degree is x cubed, and there's only one of those. So we have negative x cubed. Then I'm going to combine these two like terms. And then all we're left with is the minus 3. Okay, doing the same thing, but with subtraction. So I'll put an extra step here while I distribute the negative. Negative, negative, x cubed becomes plus x cubed, and then negative 2x. And now I'm just going to combine like terms and put it in order. 4x minus 2x is plus 2x minus 3. All right, now we're going to FOIL them out. Okay, so first is 4x times negative x cubed. That's negative 4x to the fourth. The outside makes plus 8x squared. The inside makes plus 3x cubed. And then the last terms make negative 6x. I'm going to put that in order from highest exponent to lowest exponent. Okay, for division, you just write f of x on top of d of x. And then I also have to figure out what would make the denominator equal 0. So if I equal the denominator to 0, and then solve that. So I can take out the GCF, which is, I'm going to take out a negative x. Then I have x squared minus 2. Right, so what would make that equal 0? Well, if that was 0, the whole thing would be 0. Also, if you solve that one, you would get x squared equals 2, and then you square root both sides, so x equals plus or minus radical 2. So our domain restriction is x cannot equal 0, and it also cannot equal plus or minus radical 2. So you have to figure out everything that would make the denominator equal 0. Right, so for number 6, we're going to add those together. We can probably save some time and just add them together by looking at it. 2x plus 4x makes 6x. Negative 5 plus 5 makes 0. Right, I'll write this one out, the subtraction. 2x minus 5 minus 4x plus 5. So we're going to end up with 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. And then negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10. For the product, we have to FOIL. 2x times 4x is 8x squared. The outside makes 10x. The inside makes negative 20x. So combining those together, we get negative 10x. Negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. And then for the quotient, we write f of x on top of g of x. Right, figuring out what would make the denominator equal 0. If you set 4x plus 5 equal to 0, you would get 4x equals negative 5. Let me show my work down here. You'd get 4x equals negative 5, and x equals negative 5 over 4. Keeping in mind that this is what we don't want, so I write x does not equal negative 5 over 4. Okay, that's it for this lesson.